TG Geeks, episode 91, August 15th, 2016.
We hope we bring a little joy into your humdrum lives.
And welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from, I can't stand him, TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from, and we're so glad that we'll be able to bring a little bit of joy into your humdrum lives and that our hard work ain't been in vain for nothing. Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah. In case anybody's wondering, just Lena Lamont's famous speech in Singing in the Rain for the Dancing Cavalier. The Dancing Cavalier.
The Dancing Cavaliers.
The first musicale. Anyway,
feature.
Yes. So we just watched Singing in the Rain and just had to do that. We got an interesting interview for you today, and it was kind of an impromptu thing. We're going to talk to a local comic book artist.
And talk show host.
Renaissance man.
Renaissance man's a good word, yeah.
Yeah, so here we go right to it. And this week we have with us a Renaissance man, as we said earlier, and Russ Kazmierczak. Did I say that right?
That's right,
Kazmierczak.
And hey, he's in the studio with us.
He's in the studio with us this time. Russ is an independent comic creator. He's an independent talk show host. He's the creator and guru of Amazing Arizona Comics and the host of Phoenix Tonight, a live YouTube or a live talk show that is then produced, put out on YouTube.
It's a
anyway,
live.
I messed that all up, didn't I?
No, not at all. It's a live performance of a talk show that is then edited for YouTube, for our YouTube channel.
Right, and that takes place at Space 55 here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yep, beautiful little theater space downtown.
Yeah, in one of the historic buildings. I guess is that a historic building, or is it just it?
Probably.
Somebody has, yeah. That's why it hasn't been torn down.
It needs to be, because if it is, then maybe they'll restore it a bit.
That would be nice. Yeah, I think the air conditioning is historic. That's a nice way to describe it.
Hysteric.
It's more prehistoric.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, so tell us a little bit about Amazing Arizona Comics and how that came about, and then maybe segue into how Phoenix Live came about.
Okay. I grew up in the Valley and on the west side of town in Peoria, and in 1997 I graduated from Centennial High School and went to college in California. 1997.
God, he's a child.
Oh my Lord.
And I went to college in California and found a career there in the nonprofit field. But of course, the cost of living in California, you can imagine. Working in nonprofit and the cost of living.
Nonprofit,
Would you share a house with like 12 people?
I actually lived in what was probably the smallest apartment available for a single person. It was essentially a converted motel room.
I was going to say,
Lord.
what, a closet?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
And in a very bad part of downtown, too. Like,
oh, wow.
East LA?
It was West Fullerton. I don't know if that, across the street from Fullerton's airport.
Oh, wow.
Which wasn't used in any commercial capacity since World War II.
Wow.
It was just like a private airstrip at that time with a wonderful diner. But otherwise, just a completely, I don't want to say decrepit, because Fullerton is overall a very great city.
Yeah.
But just its most affordable area to live in. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And so I moved back here in 2010. Had a few odd jobs, but really wanted to continue the self-publishing thing I had started in California. I would write comic book scripts, and my buddy Brent would draw them. And he's, to this day, an incredible illustrator, and he's drawing his own comics now as well. But I had the benefit of a very talented artist bringing my words to life.
Oh, cool.
So what was it about the writing that got you? I mean, were you bitten by the writing bug very early on?
I absolutely was. I mean, I would draw my own comics in elementary school and in junior high, but being able to just draft the scripts helped with my time management. I was able to write a lot faster than it would take for me to draw them as well. And I enjoyed seeing other people's interpretations of what I was trying to visualize on the page through text. So the collaboration and the friendship was great. And, it started as a bit of fan fiction with some, what-if Batman stories, but then it evolved into legitimate independent work that we self-published and took to the San Diego Comic-Con and the Alternative Press Expo. In 2000, the summer of 2000, Brent said to me, "You want to go check out this Comic-Con down in San Diego today?" And I said, "Sure." So we drove to San Diego on a Saturday morning, walked right up to the ticket table and bought our tickets and went in for a day.
You can't do that today.
Not today, no.
It seems like it was both a really long time ago, but not that long ago either. It was the summer of 2000. And then in 2001, we had a table in the small press section with our first book called The Successors, about superheroes that inherited powers from a parallel Earth's superheroes. The superheroes from a parallel Earth fell into a regular Earth like ours.
Oh, wow.
And in their dying breaths gave regular people their superpowers.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's cool.
From there you get the decision of, am I a good guy? Am I a bad guy? Do I even use these? Do I just use them at work? Those kind of simple decisions.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You could really set up some really strong morality plays through that.
Absolutely. There was, in the first issue, a character uses his powers just to hasten the line at the coffee shop, just to speed things along. So we had those kind of like real humdrum scenarios, but with fantastic
humdrum
powers.
lives.
Yeah. And so we brought that to Comic-Con and did that for a few years. I think it was 2006 or 2007. We were going through the application process again, and we're stunned to learn that we were on a waiting list.
Oh my.
And that's when that Comic-Con boom.
Yeah, that's when Robert Downey Jr. decided he wanted to drop in on Comic-Con and changed everything.
Absolutely. When we're stepping over the line of Twilight fans to get to the main hall, and they were just waiting for the next day's like Twilight trailer or something like that. We knew the tide was kind of changing.
Oh, boy.
They're all camping outside of Hall H.
Yeah, it became a media con as opposed to being an actual Comic-Con.
So I got a sweet taste of it sounds bitter to say the purer days of Comic-Con, if you will, but because I do think what it's become has a value. But we were able to exhibit without waiting to see if we'd make it at all.
Wow.
And once that tide kind of turned, we were I don't want to say discouraged, but our production kind of fell by the wayside because that was our main avenue of exhibition and selling.
So there really weren't very many Comic-Cons at the time. I don't think Phoenix really had a Comic-Con at that time.
If it did, it would have been called Cactus Con out in Mesa. Those were the very beginning, and that might have been just a few years later than that, 2008 or 2009, something like that. But then I moved back here and had a few odd jobs, but wanting to continue that creative desire, wanting to fulfill that, and also missing California, because when you live in California, you feel like you're in the center of the universe. Everybody's talking about California.
Oh, it's a hubbub of creative energy.
Absolutely.
Oh my God! And right there in Fullerton, I mean, there's a lot of creative all up and down the whole coast there.
Absolutely.
And inland and the Inland Empire and.
Southern California is a very
creative.
There's a lot of creative energy there in all sorts of different media.
Absolutely. Image Comics had their headquarters in Fullerton at one time.
Yeah.
I might have just missed that by a few years moving there in 97, but I'm confident that at one point I was drawing in the same coffee shop as Rob Liefeld and didn't know it.
Wow.
Because he would talk about this place called The Hub in interviews I read years later. It's like, The Hub? I went there all the time.
Yeah.
It was pretty much the only like all ages late night venue. It was a coffee shop that would stay open till 3 a.m. or something.
Wow.
Like that. And you'd see people drawing, and there'd be guitarists on stage kind of strumming. So
how bohemian.
It was very bohemian.
I love it. But those are really great avenues and great places for, again, that creative spark in some fashion or another. Sometimes, even if it's just something that's unrelated to what you're doing, you want to be able to do some artwork, but maybe some person who's just plucking out a few notes on a guitar. You never know.
You never know who that is.
Something could fire the creative spark in the brain and just take you off in a whole new direction.
Absolutely. My girlfriend will tell you that I still need to go to a coffee shop sometimes just to get that juice, just to get a second
started.
Wind. Yeah, and she's confused by it because, like we were talking before we pressed record, we build these beautiful studios for ourselves with the stuff we've collected over the years from cons or shops or shows. And sometimes you need to get out of that space to feel comfortable when you return to it.
Yep.
And the coffee shop, the Hub specifically in Fullerton, did that for me. So I'm always searching for the Hub wherever I am.
Hub.
Where is this coffee shop?
Where is this coffee shop that I need?
Yeah, that'd be kind of maybe a couple. Wouldn't be a bad idea for us. Maybe on a couple of weekends when we're not doing a show, but we just want to. We're just looking for content.
Do a show from the coffee shop.
Sure.
Well,
you never know.
Hey, Tim. We have a friend who has a Disney podcast, and he likes to do his show. He lives in Vegas, just outside of Vegas.
Wow. Sure.
But he likes Henderson. But he likes to go to Disneyland and go to Trader Sam's.
Trader Sam's, yep.
Trader Sam's, and do his show there.
Oh, wow.
He loves to do that whenever he can.
Yeah.
The ambient noise sometimes is like its own character or co-host in the background of a podcast.
Exactly.
Like that. You hear the clinking of glasses and the murmuring of conversation, and it just adds an ambiance that makes the podcast down to earth.
We've done a number of on-the-spot interviews or guerrilla interviews, and we did some at Comic-Con, Phoenix Comic-Con, and it's like, wow, the background, you really have to eat the mic, and that's why we invested the money in getting the Tascam VR40 that we have now, that we can plug mics in and people can hold the mic instead of trading it back and forth, which really presented a lot of problems because you get lots of background and then you're shoving this in somebody's face and they're recoiling and
if you're doing an interview on the floor of the dealer's room, oh my gosh,
the buzz is overpowered.
It's just loud in there now.
Yeah.
And we did that in LA and at a very, very loud venue. It was a
oh my word! It was the premiere for Lilith's Awakening.
Right. It was a pre-show cocktail party before a premiere of a film, and the music was loud, and there was 80 people there, and we were outside on the terrace right on Hollywood and Highland with all of the noise.
Coming the kind of noise that's
coming
going
from
on.
the street there. And
can't tell the number of police cars that drove by.
And then our little microphones worked great because if you're holding it, and I can take that out, in post. So I always gave it a 3-2-1, little dead air space, so we can get the background stuff out. Anyway.
Right, Elmo in front of the Chinese theater bartering for people to take a picture with him.
Exactly. Or the 5 Michael Jacksons that we saw.
Now, if they were each from a different era of Michael Jackson's career,
all
that
the
would be
same
amazing.
one.
But it was all the same one, and they're all chatting with each other too. It was very weird. It was something very Twilight Zone.
The Michael Jackson 5.
The Michael Jackson 5. That's it.
One for each finger on his gloved hand.
There you go.
Meanwhile, 20 feet away, you got some guy who's saying they were all going to hell. So it's like,
exactly.
Wow. Only in Hollywood.
Hollywood Boulevard is a trip if you've never done it.
Oh, absolutely. I was just hearing something where the irony of it being, we're talking about like the worst place in town, how Hollywood Boulevard is arguably that worst place in town of Hollywood. That's what draws everybody.
Oh, God.
You got to see the stars on the sidewalk. You got to go in the shops.
It has this mystique to it, but once you go through it, it was like, ew.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, they clean it up significantly for...
Oh, man. And they have to do... I'm sure the upkeep is like, if not daily, weekly.
Every time you watch the Oscars, like, oh, it looks so polished, and all the glitter and all the gold, and then you find the gold, and then like all the dust and all the dirt and all the homeless, and like, oh my word.
Yeah, the glitter is just falling off of the strippers.
It's all the tarnish, more like.
It's such a hodgepodge. The very first time that we went to Hollywood Boulevard, 18 years ago,
sure,
and it was like,
this isn't
really?
what I expected it to be.
Not at all.
I mean, and 18 years ago, it was not quite as polished as it is now because that whole Hollywood and Highland place, it wasn't there.
Right. And it's a big, basically like indoor shopping mall now.
Yeah.
And Virgin Megastore in there. And
it was, like and it's still kind of just a whole strip of a hodgepodge of everything from a strip club to a bar to a restaurant that's been there for 85 years.
Which we ate at.
Which we ate at.
Russo and Frank's?
Yeah.
Yes.
Frank,
oh, great.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And, I mean, which is a great restaurant, but, you know, it's just the old with the new, with the crap and the abandoned buildings to...
It's like, mother of crap, what does it want to be?
Exactly.
I like that it preserves a bit of that old Hollywood architecture, but if they could just, you know, give it a nice deep rinse from time to time.
Exactly.
I think I kind of think
cleaning.
it needs to be deloused or something like that.
So you came back here.
So
and
I
you,
missed all that stuff
yeah.
because it really creates a sense of living in the center of the universe. You know, I'm a fan of like TMZ and
Right.
paparazzi driven media as much as I like the politically heavy stuff. And there were a lot of state propositions happening around that time and entertainment news, all based right there. So one night here in the Valley, I was watching CNN, and Sheriff Arpaio popped up talking about SB 1070. And they were describing Arizona as the center of the immigration controversy nationwide. And this might sound strange, but it gave me a real sense of hometown pride. Not so much in how we were represented, but that we were in a conversation
exactly.
that critical.
I think that you didn't quite hear it, maybe, but there was a question mark behind the word pride.
Yeah. Right. Well, just that Arizona was being discussed in such a pertinent way. And
I can assure you, having a lot of friends that are really high up in politics, yes, Arizona gets discussed a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe not in a way that's desirable, but we get talked about a lot.
Yeah.
It gave me a stronger sense of how important Arizona is in like the nationwide conversation about certain topics, and not just immigration, of course, but gun control and all sorts of stuff like that.
When I first moved to Phoenix, the first time 25 years ago, and I walked into Circle K, and there's this guy with this 6-shooter on his hip, and it's like,
am I in Phoenix or am I in Tombstone?
Where am I?
Are you here to kill Sarah Connor? What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Should I be looking out for a Terminator?
And that was just right after I moved here, and I didn't realize that Arizona was, open and carry state, and it's like, I found out afterwards. It's like, I mean, it was an old revolver 6-shooter. And this guy was almost a cowboy.
Right, undoubtedly loaded. I mean, ready to go in case something went down
exactly.
there.
Exactly. Oh, my God, there's a rattlesnake. Or whatever.
Right. So, I knew who Sheriff Joe was having grown up here, but now back in the Valley as an adult, I was able to watch what he was saying with kind of a fresh pair of eyes and interpret it through my worldview having been developed in adolescence in California and stuff. So I just got a strong sense of this is so close to a comic book world. What he's describing, how he's describing it, the energy, the vitriol and the antagonism between him and the reporters, and I was just like, this is so close to a comic book like conflict that if I just drop superheroes into the middle of this, there's probably something there. So I let that kind of develop in my mind, and the critical night that made it all come together was my brother was visiting from out of town, and I was driving him home from a night of karaoke on the west side of town, and he was staying with me on the east. So we were driving on the 17 freeway, and I was going what I thought was a conservative 65 miles an hour.
Conservative.
Oops. Yeah, but on a certain stretch of the 17, it's 55, and I got popped. Not once, not twice, but 3 times by those speed cameras.
Oh my God!
And I had just moved back to town, like I said, 2 months prior to this, and I thought I was driving safely, and just the blinding light 3 times in a row was to me more treacherous than my speed, because it was literally like, what was that? Oh my gosh, that was weird. Okay,
what the hell is that?
There it is again. Are we being abducted by aliens? And a 3rd time? What the heck? So I got the tickets in the mail. Well, I got the
tickets.
Right.
The tickets.
I got the you will be ticketed in the mail, because those weren't the tickets.
Right.
And a lot of, I don't know, people must have known that, because very shortly thereafter those cameras were deactivated. And
Yeah, they were done away
They
with.
only lasted, what was it, about a year?
About a year, yeah. There was a big voter referendum to get rid of them.
They were on the 10 right here at 19th Avenue.
And the
they
big
were
thing was on the
at-
101.
God, yeah. the
That's where
101.
it was really
and
controversial.
I don't think there was any on the 51. Yes, there were.
Hmm.
There were on the 51 because it changes from 65 to 55 at some point.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's right where the camera was.
Yeah, of course.
And then there was some on 17, but
But the bad ones were on the 101. That's where
Yeah.
everybody got nailed.
yeah. There was this one gal that she got caught, like 60 times
Wow.
driving in excess of 90 miles an hour.
Well, see, now that's outrageous. I mean, that's
Yeah.
they're gonna get you for that. But for me, I'm going 65, which is a common speed
right,
limit.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So just the flashing of those lights again, kind of triggering the mentality of this would be what watching a superhero fight would be like.
Right.
The blinding lights and the what's going on, and then you finally figure it out after the fact. So I started developing a character based on those cameras, and his name is Speed Cameron.
Oh, that's how that came
That's how
about.
it happened.
I see. Oh my gosh.
I like your revelatory, like,
Oh.
So
Yeah, we've heard that name before. Now
Sure.
we know why.
I thought if, in traditional comic book science, if lightning had struck me while those cameras were flashing me, perhaps I would have acquired the powers of those cameras. That is to say,
To photograph people.
well, to move with lightning fast reflexes, I guess, like
Oh,
the cameras do when
Yeah.
you're speeding by them.
Right.
And so that just kind of becomes like a traditional speedster, like the Flash. or
Okay, so it's
Quicksilver
your
or
take on the
something like
Flash.
that. Yeah, essentially, but with that strong local bend of
Yeah.
those speed cameras being so popular. Governor Brewer decreeing that they would be removed, coincidentally and thankfully, right when I got those tickets.
Oh, cool.
So,
So they were ruled invalid then.
So yeah, I was able to, as far as I know. I mean, this could be an incriminating.
Whoops. We're going to
Yeah.
look that name up.
They've never
Somebody's
come
out
up.
there Googling your name. And
Yeah, 'cause I
do you
can
have
just-
any warrants for his arrest?
I can say after this episode comes out, we're going to be getting a knock from Sheriff Joe's people saying,
gonna
we
be the-
got a warrant for this
I'll be
guy.
the Taiga of Phoenix with a warrant out. But I was able to tear those up, and and that was part of the problem, part of the controversy of those tickets, where you'd get a notification in the mail, but you have to be physically served tickets. That's why
Right.
the cop hands it to you.
Right.
So, and then what you get in the mail after receiving a physical ticket from a cop is just the notification to go to court, kind of a confirmation of everything. So, the thing you'd get in the mail would say, this is not your ticket, and I think a lot of people were just throwing those things away, waiting to inevitably be served, and so the city was losing a lot of money with the company that they had contracted to have these cameras, Red Flux or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear that they're coming back.
Slowly but surely, and they've probably learned some lessons from that
Yeah.
time, and they're going to do.
I know the
things
red light
differently.
cameras are still.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
a different thing.
absolutely. I think that's a different a measure of safety.
And that's
is
also
safe.
city to city, too.
Yeah. True,
Yeah.
True.
I mean, Paradise Valley has a camera hidden, quote unquote, in a cactus on a corner. So it's a big.
I've heard that.
It's a big fake saguaro cactus, but with a camera eye.
Yeah, I got caught. Was it Paradise Valley or was it Scottsdale?
It was Scottsdale.
Yeah, we were
North Scottsdale.
Oh boy.
I remember it well. Pinnacle Peak.
We were trying to get to a concert he was supposed to sing at from another concert that he just sang at, and I was speeding
Sure,
to get there.
And it was on Pinnacle
time,
Peak Road.
and
they got you.
they got me.
Yep.
So
There's got to be.
I got nailed on that same stretch, too.
yeah, yeah.
There's got to be a loophole for an act going from one venue to another.
Yeah,
There's got to be something in there.
exactly.
I mean, I don't know if Phil Collins ever got a ticket when he flew from. Where did he fly from?
Oh, he was flying from, it was Wembley to Philadelphia, I think.
He had to have broken a few laws to make that
I'm
possible.
sure he did, yeah.
So the Collins loophole was what
Yeah.
they call it.
Yeah, we need to come up with that. I need to draft that. That's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah.
That's something you should Sudi don't Studio Sudi no.
Yeah.
So I just hit the drawing board with this character concept, and the speed cameras having been just taken off the freeway. I figured, so if you have a hero whose beat is basically to be a living speed camera and to capture speedsters, what would happen to his jurisdiction if the cameras were removed? Would he still be viable in the the professional crime fighting circuit.
And is he stuck to like one local area? Can he actually perform his superhero duties outside? Or will his powers all of a sudden vanish if he steps outside that jurisdiction?
Gosh, you know what? I've never explored that. He's visited California since the beginning of the series, but I never thought that there would be perhaps a limit or a range that he could go once he went beyond it. I'll have to look back at my stories and see if he hasn't gone global yet, then maybe there's a way to incorporate that, because I like that. That he would be like one of those Target shopping carts that just stops.
Power just locks down.
Yeah.
What the heck's wrong with this thing?
Well, in the story, he was working privately for Sheriff Joe, and one of the ways I was able to incorporate some more elements of reality, Arizona's reality, was that, at the time Sheriff Joe was under investigation for outrageous spending, and they couldn't quite pin down where is he spending all of this money. He was buying
tank.
Yeah, he was buying big tanks and stuff. So I was able to incorporate that he was funding a private superhero posse alongside his celebrity posse that, had like Steven Seagal. And
I remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember this. I mean, I'm not the superhero posse, but I mean, that would be awesome.
Well, see, that's secretive. That's
yeah. But I remember the celebrity posse, yes.
Yeah, and you mentioned the tank, and we know that well because Steven Seagal used the tank to bust up what they thought, if I remember this right, what they thought was going to be a big drug dealing operation, and instead it turned out to be like a cockfighting thing in somebody's house. So they rolled up in a tank and blew the side of this house off, and the guys are in there just like fighting roosters and chickens.
You killed my chicken!
It's a great post-arrest dinner that happened at barbecue. I don't know if I remember all of that right, but it was an episode then of Steven Seagal Lawman.
I just have this horrible image of somebody saying, "You blew off my cock!"
The most emasculating crime fighting technique. And delicious, too. But
different kind of cock.
Oh, right. Well, I don't know. But yeah.
Okay, we're going to have to an X rating on
this tag on this episode.
You guys went there. I'm just telling you what happened.
Hey, you got a couple of gay men in the room. It's obviously going to degenerate. It'll go into the gutter. You can't help it.
So yeah, in that first issue, Sheriff Joe reassures Speed Cameron that he still has a job, and he sends him on an immigration raid to a local McDonald's, and that really happened in the news. There was an immigration raid at a McDonald's in Scottsdale or something. Grief. So in the issue, I was exploring all of these new stories and headlines that I was just now experiencing, having moved back to the Valley. The idea of the speed cameras, of course, and that was the whimsy going into it, but Sheriff Joe in his role is kind of this, as I perceive him, kind of an anti-Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
If Commissioner Gordon were real, he would be in the spotlight all the time. He would be an outspoken representative for law enforcement, and he'd always be questioned about the Batman and the vigilantes, and are these real? And he would just be in this constant flux of trying to justify why he'd use vigilante help, if it even existed, quote unquote, to preserve their integrity and discretion, But at the same time, being like a staunch supporter of doing things by the book, as he's been known to do as well. So, I mean, Sheriff Joe is like that, but a bizarro version.
Yeah.
And so I thought if superheroes existed, he would, of course, recruit them and utilize them discreetly to be as effective as possible, like he does with the celebrities in his public persona. And so this immigration raid, he sends Speed Cameron to gather up these migrant workers, and then Speed Cameron, having never dealt with an issue outside of just like speeding and traffic crime, sees how complicated it is. It's not just a bank robbery or a Dr. Doom like villain vowing to take over the world. These are people that are dealing with like life altering decisions that have put them arguably in the crosshairs of law enforcement. Is that a deserved position to be in? And so on.
Only trying to make your life better.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the issue, he comes to, spoiler alert, he comes to the realization that these are people that are fleeing dangerous circumstances and surroundings.
Right.
And when they're standing roadside and watching a superhero fight go down, because of course the story kind of devolves into that in an entertaining way, they tell him, look, what you're doing is what we were fleeing from, this dangerous situation, dangerous fights in the streets and mob mentality or whatever. this is what we were running from, but you here as a representative of the law, you're doing that thing. You're making us feel as unsafe as we felt back at home.
Right.
This isn't the American dream, essentially. And so Speed Cameron develops his perspective based on that experience, breaks off from Sheriff Joe, and basically the issues that have followed as a result, and I'm up to issue number 24 right now, the issues that have followed as a result explore him, Speed Cameron, recruiting and joining and fighting with other superheroes in the Valley that have a similar worldview to his. At the same time, they're fighting outrageous supervillains of my creation. There are these through lines of real Arizona controversies, sometimes fueled by Sheriff Joe, sometimes just ripped from the headlines. How would superheroes deal with them when they're not as black and white as, like I say, Joker poisoning the water supply? And that's that's an easy
definitely going for shades of gray as opposed to very black and white issues.
Absolutely right. So that it makes it more fun for me, and kind of tips a hat or pays homage to my favorite writers in comics, my favorite artists that didn't go for the easy storyline either. They really explored those controversies of their era. Like Denny O'Neil's Green Lantern, Green Arrow run is heavily influencing my work right now. Over the last few years, because he decided to give that dying title, Green Lantern, just a second wind by incorporating what was happening, in the youth culture.
Oh, absolutely! I've seen some of those issues, and they're heartbreaking at times.
Oh yeah, Speedy's addicted to drugs, and I mean his name is Speedy, but he's addicted to drugs, and that wasn't as simple as let's just take him to rehab or something like that. He's like a wayward youth finding his place in the world and in the 70s, and it was a real hard-hitting look at what being a sidekick might actually feel and be like, and just incorporating superheroes into reality and vice versa. I love that stuff. It makes the medium more of an escape for me, because I have places that I can relate to in that world, and yet there is the inevitability of capes and tights and a cave underground and stuff like that.
So how big is your circulation, if you don't mind saying?
I don't mind. I circulate it to shops around the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
I have some fans that I've acquired over the years out of state, so whenever I self-publish a new issue, I'm sending a couple of dozen out of state.
Okay.
And so that's a nice that may be the only taste of Arizona some of these folks get. So it's interesting to know that somebody in Nevada or somebody like in one of the New England states are getting this, and this is like their Arizona monthly. This is how they know what's happening. So I'd probably say a single issue's initial run could be about 100, then I'll
That's not bad.
do follow-up. No, not at all. For having started this about 6 years ago now, and I know there are hundreds of number one, the first issue out there, and it's the one everybody gravitates to, because they want to start at the beginning. And so I just know, based on my books and mental record keeping, that there are hundreds of those issues out there, either purchased or given away for free to kind of get people interested. And then since at cons and stuff, folks will ask about specific topics or areas of the state that they live in or that they've experienced, and I'll, at this point, have something that references that for them, and then they grab that issue. So it's fun to see that people will start at like issue 15, for example, because Sierra Vista's mentioned in it, and that's where they live. And so, you know what I mean? So it's a real interesting cool camaraderie with readers, because we're all in this together, and
so
it's fun.
It's more of a labor of love than a money-making venture at this point.
It has always paid for itself.
Oh,
which
really?
is great.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, not that I wouldn't
this
continue.
show.
Not that I
you know how much we have made? We have Amazon ads on. Did I share this on Phoenix tonight?
I don't think so.
I don't think we talked about it.
We've got the Amazon ads. We're an Amazon associate, so we run ads at the end of our articles and on the widgets on the website.
So is it the kind of thing where if somebody wants to buy something from Amazon?
They can.
You can, or you can sign up for the Kindle monthly thing program that they have, or if you buy something from Amazon through one of our ads, we get kind of a bounty or a kickback.
Sure.
We've made $2.
Whoa!
And they can't even send it to us yet because it's too small an amount.
Wow.
They can't even electronically send it to us
really?
because
Wow,
it's not
crazy.
enough.
I think it needs to be like $5 before they can send it to us. So it's sitting in a bank
So
with our
yeah,
name on it, but we can't touch
accumulating
it.
interest at least, so like 3 years from now it'll be $2.03 or something.
yeah, probably. Or they'll say, yeah, you haven't made enough money. We're going to keep it.
Oh, for crying out loud.
It's reabsorbed.
Who knows? But yeah, we spend a good chunk of money every month on this show,
Of course.
just from the website, and because
And it's all out of love.
I own like 6 domains that
Sure.
point to the main domain.
Oh,
plus,
You
just
have to do it out of love,
Oh,
because
yeah.
if you're looking to do it purely, if you
Oh,
go in,
God.
if you go in,
we couldn't make money on
no,
this thing.
if you
Right.
go in planning, with this intention of, I want to be, like the next Chris Hardwick.
Sure.
It's like, forget it. It's not going to happen unless
You gotta know
lightning
everybody.
strikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to know the right people in order for that kind of thing to happen. So
And then
you
your whole
have,
life changes.
yeah, but so to do this, whether it's publishing, writing and publishing a comic book, or doing a show, whatever, you got to do it purely for the love of it, and
Yeah.
just and let that be your sole motivator.
And the love generates longevity. If you do something with the aspirations of making money, well, you might, but as we all know, there are ups and downs in that process and through those incentives that either lead to something bigger or end up, kind of downsizing.
Being drudgery.
You. Yeah, and it becomes an obligation to something else other than yourself and your own creative desires. When you're doing it out of love, the money may come in time, but at the end of the day, if you still love it,
Yeah.
and you continue to do it despite the cost, you're still reaching the goal that you initially established. I just want to do something I love. You know what I mean?
That's why we don't ask people for money on the show. We've done it kind of passively.
Sure.
Put the ads on there. We've got a PayPal link to donate, which nobody has. But it's there.
You put the bait out there and just see
it's
what
there
happens.
if somebody wants to.
Yeah,
but
we're not asking for people
No,
to.
no.
We're not asking for handouts or anything like that.
We do this because we want to, and because we enjoy it, and we enjoy talking to people such as yourself and other independent creators, and that's kind of become our niche, if you will,
Absolutely.
or niche, whoever wants to be proper.
Whether you are in Mississippi or in France.
Exactly.
Paris, France, or Paris, California.
Yeah.
whichever.
If it's in Mississippi, it's probably Nietzsche.
Not to be confused with the philosopher.
Exactly. Anyway.
Which brings us right back to superheroes.
Yes.
It's a nice
Exactly.
cyclical conversation here.
Yeah. So how did Phoenix Tonight come about? Tell us about that.
talk show?
Yeah.
Well, like the mini comic, I basically enjoy recreating the things I love. So I've always loved comics and superheroes specifically. So I make a superhero comic. I've also always loved talk shows. Johnny Carson, of course.
Oh, so even though I would say that Steve Allen was the prototype, I think everybody would associate the late night talk show with Carson.
He set the standard. I mean, I'm sure there were soda pops before Coca-Cola,
Yeah.
but you only know Coca-Cola.
Right. Exactly.
And I think Johnny is just like that. He basically became a name synonymous with late night, as you would say Coke for a soft drink or Xerox for a copy. You say Carson, you know exactly what people are talking about. Right. And so yeah, as a kid, I caught the tail end of his career live, as it was appearing nightly on TV. I think by then he may have only been filming 3 shows a week, and then he 2 would be best ofs or reruns or something like that. But I was catching him, and I would stay up for him, and see favorite comedians like Gary Shandling on there often. I was at the right age to know what was going on when the late night wars began. Who was going to get Johnny's spot, Letterman or Leno? And I was captured by that. Just the idea of a public fight or conflict over a job like that was so interesting to me as a impressionable preteen boy. I don't know why. It was just interesting to see. And Letterman was my guy because he followed Carson on NBC. But he also had that real subversive element to his show that appealed to me as a young guy.
It was kind of snarky and
he was a bit of a renegade in much of what he did, which set him apart. I mean, that's the only thing he could really do on the late.
Right,
shows.
Right.
He embraced the hour. I think that late hour, and some stuff was completely absurd. Other stuff was snarky. His interviews were
talk snarky. Craig Ferguson.
Oh gosh, yeah. And so a great inevitable successor in that time slot too. So I was all in with I was in the Letterman camp, and I wanted to see him get that time slot. Of course, he didn't. and then the idea of him having his own show in 94, I think, 93, 94, that may have fueled or at least planted the seed for my desire to do things independently as an artist, because you see Dave basically say, well, if I'm not going to get that, I'm going to have my own. I mean, CBS offered him the show, but he took it and it became a new brand in his identity.
It revolutionized late night talk show.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so now you have some, and people had tried to compete with Carson, like Pat Sajak, I think, and a handful of others.
Oh my God! Everybody.
I remember that. That was awful.
Everybody and their brother. My God.
Right.
But even now, you still have that going on. I mean, there's quite a few talk shows that are going on, not just on the major networks, but even on some of the cable channels.
Oh, sure. The Daily Show is basically considered to be a competitor for that time slot.
Right.
And it all started then when Letterman was like, you know what, I'll just have my own show then on CBS. And so I was a Letterman guy, but I would occasionally watch Leno too, and I liked him. I liked them both, and they were both completely different, and it just captured me well into my late teens. Again, going to college in California, it was a nice touchstone. This is still on here. So there's a familiarity to it that was really nice for me. Up late, drawing or doing homework or whatever, and there's Letterman, there's Leno, they're still here,
Right.
still on. So that, and funny too, and commenting on news and entertainment, everything I loved, just like in an hour of television. So that's always captured me. And in fact, in high school, I was nominated most likely to have his own talk show.
Oh,
So-
really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I did the closed circuit TV announcements and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
So I was able to get some of this a desire to be in front of people out then. I would read top 10 lists every week, inspired by Dave's daily top 10 lists.
Right.
So when I moved back to the Valley, again, I got the comic book off and running, and I would read poetry at open mics to discover a really strong performance community here in Central Phoenix specifically.
And do karaoke.
And I did a lot
I
of
was going to
karaoke.
touch on that later. I want to get back to that.
You could just introduce me as
you're just
General Ham.
You're
Russ
just an
Kazmierczak.
attention whore, right?
Basically, here we have attention whore, Russ Kazmierczak. Tell me when he's not in front of. Tell me what group of people you just left being in front of, and which one you're about to go be in front of.
Yeah.
that was not.
No, I'm self-professed. Yes, whatever it takes to talk to people in front of other people. Basically, is my shtick. But there was a late night talk show here in the Valley that I would attend as an audience member, and I was a guest on it when I hosted an open mic here. It was called Grand Avenue Live. It was at the now gone Trunk Space on Grand Avenue, and it was a very similar format as far as a host delivering a monologue, and then they had more of an Arsenio set with no desk, but just like a couch and some chairs, and a very informal chat, and then you get to plug some projects at the end. And I loved it. I loved it that was here, but it eventually just kind of faded away. And recently, I got the Jones for it. I said, there isn't anything like this here in the Valley right now. And like you guys, I meet so many independent artists and performers, people with stuff to plug.
Right.
So it would be fun to fulfill this dream I've had of hosting a show, giving my friends an opportunity to plug their stuff, meeting other performers as well. Especially musicians, local musicians. It's been great to get to know some of these guys through the show, and just do another thing here in the Valley. Another inspiration for this was sitting at these coffee shops we talked about,
Right.
and overhearing conversations of people saying Phoenix has no culture. There'd be people lamenting of a lack of things to do in the Valley. And being a comic book guy with cons and shows and shops that I frequent all the time, and a local poet at open mics or slam competitions and stuff, I was just baffled. Like, how did they not know about this stuff that I'm doing all the time? So,
Well, that's kind of it's kind of a subculture.
I guess so. There is and that's what I've been learning, is there is a strong subculture of artists and performers that are contributing to the community, but unfortunately, at least through my perception, and there may be others that debate this, but there is a unfortunately disproportionate smaller subculture of folks that just go watch that stuff.
Right.
There are, in my opinion, two tiers of the arts in Phoenix. There's the mainstream arts that you would find at like the Herberger or
The
Film
opera,
Theater.
the symphony, things like that.
Yeah, that stuff. that gets mainstream media attention on calendars, things to do. And then there's a grassroots effort. And
The independent.
Independent. That's what you guys are doing. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see. It's difficult to find where those two circles kind of create the gray area in the middle on a chart where folks can go to both and not feel like they're either slumming it, or or what would the other direction be? Kind of like stepping up and feeling like you're in a mainstream venue, or have I sold out because I'm here, or something like that, or why am I not making money because I'm here? Could be another argument.
Exactly.
So I'd rather stay with my own tribe and do that thing where I'm very comfortable and not face judgment or criticism or something like that for being avant-garde, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Phoenix Tonight, the talk show, is a great way to kind of try to achieve that thing where independent artists and performers and musicians have an opportunity to come on as a legit guest, treated like a local celebrity, plug their stuff, have a nice conversation live in front of a quote-unquote studio audience.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, slowly but assuredly integrate other local celebrities that get that treatment as well. Like Bruce St. James was on our 3rd episode, and he's the local morning radio talk guy.
Right.
And he's also a race car driver, and he gets to see all the movies before they come out and write reviews and talk about them on the radio and stuff. So to me, that's a pretty high caliber local celebrity.
Oh, yeah.
And you had us on. I don't know why.
Well, because I wanted high caliber.
Oh, not lowbrow.
No, absolutely not. Classy, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
That
hope we
fell.
lived up to that.
Yeah, well.
So to have a place where, like, and Bruce was like a pie in the sky, kind of like on a wish list for me of guests, because I do listen to his morning talk show often, and I respect him as being a real outspoken Arizona-oriented personality. You know, he was on radio in Tucson, and he's very local, and but at the same time, being a race car driver and stuff, he's got some national juice attached to him too. So I was like, gosh, that would be great. So I just emailed him, thinking whatever, he'll never reply. He did, and like 2 months later, he was on.
Wow.
And it was...
So you have arrived now.
I really felt like, with Bruce St. James on, like, who's next? But it also gave me that motivation and confidence that, you know what? I can find local celebrities in mainstream media like radio and television, have them on alongside independent podcasters like yourselves, or fellow comic book artists and poets like me, musicians that are just playing apartment shows or small clubs around town. And the through line is that we're all Arizona based. We're all here in the Valley, in this thing together, expressing ourselves creatively. And Phoenix Tonight is just another opportunity to do that. Of course, with its own talk show identity, but also as a venue for those guys to shine.
Right.
So I get to, tell a few jokes and do some comedy bits, but at the end of the day, you hear conversations like this in that traditional format that's really comfortable and easy to relate to.
It was a great...
That was a lot of fun.
And it's a nice little venue.
Yeah.
And you've had some really interesting guests.
Thank you.
I'll admit, the first show we went to, and that was right after we met you at Verde Valley at the Comic Book Expo.
So that may have been the first show in April.
No, it was...
Was it my second or...
Might have been your second.
Yeah, Brian Augustin was...
Okay, yeah, that was the second show.
Yeah, because I remember you also had a rap artist on, and I remember thinking, oh, this is going to be kind of tedious for me, because I'm not a fan of rap or hip-hop. And that's the thing, and I thought, one of those numbers he did was actually really quite good.
Blaine Coffee is his name.
Yeah, I was like, and fortunately he buggered off before I could actually go up and compliment him, because I thought one of the numbers I thought was amazing.
Yeah, one of the secrets of the show, a little behind the scenes information, is that I rarely vet the musical guests. If they're recommended to me, I will not listen to their stuff.
Oh, okay.
Prior to. So a few musical guests, I'm going in, I'm a fan, and that's why they're there.
Right.
But a couple of them have come recommended, and I thought, you know what, I just want to experience this with the audience, because I'm not a hip-hop guy either, believe it or not. So I had no idea what he would bring to the show, but it was absolutely amazing. He was great, friendly, talented, of course, and a nice addition.
Yeah.
So now, before we sign off, I have to ask about this, and this sort of goes hand in hand. Karaoke and the monkeys.
Yes.
Explain.
You are very young to
experience
the monkeys. We grew up with the monkeys.
I grew up with the monkeys. Keith and I are in our mid-50s, so yeah, I grew up with the monkeys and all that. So, But it's I have to admit, it's almost refreshing to see someone, a young whippersnapper like you.
Oh, for crying out loud. I just missed them by, this is their 50th anniversary, so I would have missed them by, just a scant 15 years if I was 1 when they became popular. But my mom had a crush on Davey when she was a kid.
Oh, like who didn't?
Exactly. And
exactly.
the music was always in the house, and I can't even tell you when exactly I first watched or heard them because it was just always there. Nick at Night reruns, of course, in the mid-'80s is what really... And then in '86, they celebrated their 20th anniversary, and it was very well received. They put out a new album. They had
I remember that.
a record-breaking tour. Weird Al opened for them on that tour.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go, but I remember seeing it all over MTV.
Oh, yeah. That was my first concert, was that show in Connecticut in 1986. And that might have been what sealed the deal, I guess, although going to that already, a huge fan, knowing all the words to the songs. And they've just always been a part of my life. And I'm unapologetic about it, and it's never stopped. And as an adult...
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, and it's contributed to my love of...
nostalgia. And the
stuff from that era. I mean, we talked about Johnny, and that would have been really like the beginning of his heyday.
Right.
I love Get Smart and
Oh my
Bewitched
gosh. Oh my
and
God.
All those shows
Where is it?
of
Oh my
that
gosh.
era.
Where's my sound? I have my sound. I got a sound here somewhere.
So,
Oh, dear.
did I see one that said TMZ something? Or
No,
oh, no, it's TW something. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Twilight Zone.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, that too, Twilight Zone.
Oh no, that's not. That's not.
I could say
Wow.
I could say Bewitched, and then you could go into
Not
that
the
spiritual
witch.
connection.
Not the Wicked Witch.
But yeah, just and we talked about Dave doing his own thing, and I was almost going to bring this up, but I didn't want to get too muddy.
There you go.
There it is.
Sorry about that.
Awesome. I don't know. The room just turned into a tropical island somehow. I don't know what you did there. But the Monkees started, and as I got older, and it became less of a just a shallow appreciation of the kind of cartoony TV show and the poppy music. As you get older and you dig into the music you like, you get to know the artists, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I became quickly aware of the whole they don't play their own instruments, it's a manufactured band thing. And the deeper I studied, and this is kind of pre-internet in the 90s, you learn and you realize that they fought for that opportunity to play their own instruments. And
Well, Mike Nesmith is a talented guitarist to begin
Absolutely.
with, and because I play guitar, so I would see the early Monkey stuff, and I'd watch Mike play the guitar, and I'd go, okay, those chords, they're dead on accurate.
Right. So
So
even
he
when
knew what he was doing, even if he was
Absolutely.
faking it.
Peter, too, was a kind of a bohemian musician coming in. Davey sang on Broadway, and Mickey was on TV, and he was leading a little garage band at the time called the Missing Links, actually, kind of ironically. So, yeah, he had a little musical. He had some musical tools under his belt as well. He could play the guitar very well, but they cast him as the drummer.
Right.
So he had to quickly learn the drums to at least make it look like he knew what he was doing on TV. But they knew they had a chemistry, and they fought for the right to play their own instruments on the records, to contribute their own songs, and so it created this phenomenon that obviously
they were
50
the
years...
first boy band.
Yeah, they were. They were the first boy band.
In a way, they really were, but they were able to carve out a rather unusual identity as opposed to what so many other bands have done. Like when you compare it to, like the Beatles or even the Stones. But, I mean, their music and their careers all grew in a rather organic direction based on what they were doing on record at that time.
Absolutely.
But the Monkees, to come out of that kind of background gives them a completely different dynamic.
For sure. And again, as a kid, studying and learning those things about their past, it gave me a refreshed interest in who they were, because they took the bull by the horns and became the Monkees. Just like Dave, to tie it all together, David Letterman saying, if I can't host the traditional Tonight Show, I will still have my own late show. So he took the bull by the horns and generated his own brand and identity.
And that's
that
what
niche.
happened to us. I mean,
and you guys do the same thing.
There was a podcast that kind of birthed this one that imploded, and they're still going in a different form. But we
wanted to do our own thing.
We needed
Is
an
this the
outlet
secret origin?
Yes.
Of the
Yeah.
TG Geeks
It's not so
podcast?
secret. Not so secret.
Oh, okay.
and he needed an outlet or wanted an outlet, and I just searched around and bought a domain, and
Nice. Yeah.
then it just kind of birthed from there.
Yeah.
I love that. So I think there's no shame or loss of integrity in recreating something that you love.
And our first episodes were very much like the former podcast.
Sure.
Yeah.
The integrity
it's
comes
kind of-
from the desire to evolve from that initial inspiration
Yeah.
and find your own voice. I think, especially in today's like entertainment saturated media, it's going to be very hard to find something original and something even of quality. But in the quantity, you kind of sift through the dirt and find that gold nugget, and
Right.
that's where your own voice is. And
Yeah.
you got to get through a lot of dirt to find it sometimes. And that's what Dave Letterman did. That's what the Monkees did. And so I'm just constantly drawn to those guys that defy their roots, while still embracing them and climbing up them to sprout into something that's all their own.
And you did
Wow,
the
what a
same
great,
thing.
what a
Yeah,
great
you've
image
done-
that was.
yeah.
That was
You've
great.
done-
So lastly, the karaoke, because you get associated with that a lot.
Awesome. Good. I'm a ham. I like to, I sang those monkey songs in front of my parents' friends all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We had like a little stoop in our living room, and I would come down with like a top hat and a tambourine and maracas and put on a show to the records. And in Fullerton, where I lived for so long, I turned 21. We started going to bars regularly, and one night, this karaoke just started, and I was like, what's going on? Oh, you get to
I
sing.
could do that.
Yeah, I was like, I've been doing that. What are you talking about? Oh, you're going to take the voice out of the song, so now it's just my voice. I mean, to me, it was like, I could be a celebrity for those 3.5. I could be a superstar for 3.5.
I think
Right.
that was the idea
Yeah.
why karaoke finally broke big in
Right.
the U.S.
Well, and karaoke, and correct me if I'm wrong if you know, is Japanese for empty orchestra.
Yes.
So you fill that void with your voice.
Right.
The emptiness is
Or
filled.
I think someone once said it actually means like you sing or something like
Oh,
that.
really?
But that's what someone told me.
Sure.
I have no idea if that's accurate or not.
Sure. So my first karaoke song was Whitney Houston's "The Greatest Love of All."
Oh, wow.
Because I knew those words front to back. The track skipped, and
Oh,
so
dear.
I ended up creating my own lyrics and kind of pissing the KJ off a little bit because I was highlighting the ineptitude of her technology there, the CD had a scratch or
Whoops.
something. But I just absolutely loved the being in front of people, strangers especially. When you're done, it's over. No strings
You never have to see
attached.
those people again.
You never have to, and that's what I tell everybody that's scared of it. I was like, you don't have to see these people again.
Well,
So it's
sometimes
like
you
it
do.
never happened when you go home, especially if you're just out alone. And it's a great way to talk to people around you. I have a hard time going to bars now, and there's not karaoke
Oh,
because
it's-
there's
yeah.
just it's a good social.
Yeah.
Before social media, it was just that thing that we all. Oh, you like that song? I like it too.
And if you're a bit of a ham, it can be a great opportunity to just really take off like that. You'll be happy to know that the very last karaoke song I ever sang was "Daydream Believer."
Oh, that's great. So, yeah, especially this year at the Monkees 50th, I've been trying to sing as many Monkey songs as I can. And I found a few deeper cuts recently that people have in their songbooks that are it's really delightful. Like
Well,
Mary Mary. Or,
But that if it's an old time karaoke, you can bring your own CD.
Sure, a lot of
Yeah.
hosts allow that.
Yeah,
Sure.
sometimes they don't.
A lot of them,
Sometimes they
it's
don't.
all built in now, so that you
Yeah.
don't have that flexibility.
Oh yeah, if it's on YouTube, it should be available to a real,
Yeah.
a really like with it karaoke host
Yeah.
because they're just pulling that stuff off the internet anyway digitally.
Yeah.
So
So to wrap things up, if anybody wants to know more about you, more about Amazing Comics, or Phoenix Tonight, do you have a presence on the intertubes any place so
I
that
do.
they can learn more about all of that?
all of that can be found at AmazingArizonaComics.com. So pretty simple there. Or you could find Phoenix Tonight easily on Facebook. It has its own page. Also, if you search for Phoenix Tonight on YouTube, you'll find the clips of past episodes. So I would say one of those three online avenues
Right.
is the best way to
But
kind of get a
you
big
also
look
have
of it.
Karaoke Fanboy Press.
Karaoke Fanboy Press is the general publishing house through which Amazing Arizona Comics comes out, and some other whenever I feel like it kind of projects. But as far as like a central hub, AmazingArizonaComics.com or Phoenix Tonight on Facebook and YouTube.
And if anybody is in the Valley and they want to hear you sing, where do you normally go do karaoke?
Let me try to think of a few places very quickly. Castaways on a Friday or Saturday night is great. The KJ there Dan is an awesome host. I think he hosts at Gilligan's as well a couple of nights during the week, which I would like to go to more often because it's called Gilligan's. But it's in Scottsdale, so a little further out.
Further out,
yeah, and depending on the night, you know how it is down there, traffic-wise and stuff. Rips in Central Phoenix at 16th and Osborne, 16th Street in Osborne.
I didn't even know that was there.
Sunday and Monday nights, they have karaoke. Where else have I gone? On the west side of town, there's a place near my mom's house called Fanoogies.
Fanoogies?
Yeah, on the east side of town, I like going to a place on Southern Mill called Monkey Pants. I think it's called.
Pants.
Yeah, so monkey's in the title, so you know I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
And they have a stage. Here's what's interesting. Just a real quick note to contrast California karaoke with Arizona karaoke. California, 9 times out of 10, you walk into a place, there is a stage for the singer.
Right.
You know, because it's California. It's Hollywood
right.
people. In Arizona, 9 times out of 10, you're just singing among the tables. There
Yep.
is no stage. Or the KJ has decided to set up on the stage, making them the center of attention, while the singer is handed the mic and just left to sing from their table, or if they so choose, wandering around the other patrons.
Right.
So I found that to be a very interesting cultural difference between the two states' karaoke scenes. Interesting. But I say that because Monkey Pants has a stage, a really nice stage that you could sing from. So I like going there, and I think that's on Sunday nights, Sundays and Wednesdays.
Oh, cool.
So those are just a
Interesting.
few of the many places I've frequented.
You've been everywhere.
I've
been everywhere.
All around the
man.
valley.
I get around.
If it's a karaoke joint, you'll go to it.
I get around, and then I sing. I get around when I get there. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Russ Kazmierczak, for being with us this time on the TG Geeks webcast.
Thank you, guys. You know, I got to say, too, thanks for all of your support for my stuff and for independent stuff in general. You guys have a great show. You're two great guys, and I really appreciate it.
Well,
So
thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much. We greatly appreciate that.
Sure thing.
Hi, I'm Patricia Chica, director, producer, and here you are listening to my favorite podcast, The Two Gay Geeks. Oh, yeah.
And here's a few selected birthdays for August 15th through August 21st, 2016. August 15th, Ben Affleck.
I'm
and,
Batman.
And Julia Child. Yes. And Ann Roberts, a friend of the show. She is Verde Valley Comic Expo co-originator, shall we say. And
Good title.
Yeah. And also the wife of Danny Roberts, a local comic book artist.
That's right. Really nice guy.
Yeah, really nice guy. Both of them are really nice.
They're awesome.
Also on August 15th, Irene Glover, a very good friend of ours.
And wife of Fusion Patrol co-host Eugene.
Yes. August 16th, James Cameron and Julie Newmar. Thank you.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, we saw
Oh
her
my
a couple
God.
years ago at Phoenix Comic Con.
She was
and
amazing.
She was absolutely amazing. Also on August 16th, Fess Parker, Leslie Ann Warren, and good friend of the show, David Wagner.
And how can you not love Leslie Ann Warren?
Yeah.
Yeah. We love you too, David. We really do. You're awesome.
Yeah. August 17th, Robert De Niro, Mae West, Samuel Goldwyn, and imagine this, Davy Crockett.
Really? I mean, he was a real character. We know that.
Yeah.
He was a historical character.
Yeah, and he was his birthday is the day after Fess Parker's.
I know
Who played Davy Crockett?
Who played Davy Crockett? Yeah,
How
that is
about
kind
that?
of odd.
Yeah. August the 18th, Patrick Swayze, Robert Redford, and Max Factor. Also, August the 18th of this year, which is Thursday, it is the 20th anniversary of meeting you.
That's when we got
Yeah.
together. That's right.
Yeah. 20th anniversary, 20 years. Oh, my
20
God.
years, I know.
How about that? August 19th, Jonathan Frakes, Gene Roddenberry,
Wow.
Orville Wright, 1871, and Coco, whose real name was Gabrielle Chanel, in 1883. August 20th, David Williams, Computer Says No. Yes, the one half of the Little Britain
Yep.
team. Also on August 20th, Sylvester McCoy, James Marsters, John Noble, and Alan Lee, who was an artist
famous
for,
artist
yeah.
for did a lot of artwork for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
And also on August 20th, Howard Phillips Lovecraft, also known as H.P. Lovecraft.
All Hail Cthulhu.
Yes, still trying to make it through all of his works. It's
It can be quite an endeavor.
It is. Actually, I love all of his work that I've read so far. August 21st, Count Basie. And that should do it for the birthdays this time.
Hey, this is Crazy Joe. And this is Dave, hosts of Megapodzilla, the podcast equivalent to a 100-foot radioactive robot lizard, but with horn-rimmed glasses and a pocket protector. That's nerdy. We're on the rampage, laying waste to the geek landscape. We'll talk movies, TV, comics, toys, video games. And sometimes we talk turkey. Don't you mean chicken? That's right. So check us out at megapodzilla.com. We're also available on iTunes and the Zune Marketplace. Aw, yeah.
Go give a listen to our friend Crazy Joe over at Megapodzilla. We're going to have a
Crazy Joe.
Crazy Joe. Yep. We'll have a link to his show in the show notes. And hopefully by now everybody knows what this music is.
I don't.
What is this?
I have no idea. But it's really catchy. We need to write lyrics for this.
R2-D2 lyric.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's the end of the...
I've never heard the whole part before.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a little bit more feedback this week, and we'll say that each of these items that we are giving feedback to, they will be available in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com. And starting off, this is in reference to our last episode, episode 90. We got a response from good friend Arkle, Brian Weber.
Mr. Brian.
And this is in regards to the Netflix Marvel shows that are currently in development. And he writes, so with Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Misty Knight, and Danny Rand all in the Marvel Netflix sphere, Netflix now has not one, but two of the most prominent mixed-race couples in not just Marvel, but frankly, all of superherodom. We saw a pair between Luke Cage and Jessica, and Misty will also be paired up with Danny and Luke. Well, yeah, but mostly with Danny. That makes it the interracial thing. And he says, man, I really hope they don't screw that up. I don't think they will, because that's the reason why Misty is going to be in Iron Fist, because of the shared relationship that she's had with him as well in the comic book. So, anyway, he also adds, because we talked a little bit about why Star Trek Beyond wasn't doing that well in the box office, and he says, Star Trek Beyond deserves to do better. It's easily the best Trek movie since First Contact. And it's a very controversial film. Some people would agree with you. A lot of people wouldn't. So, I mean, we haven't seen it yet. Being that it's already available for pre-order on video, I say we'll probably just wait till it comes out then. And then last week we ran a story about the new Aquaman movie. They finally have picked a villain for him. And in a way, this is a little cliche, but they're going with his big arch nemesis. They're going with Black Manta. And we have a story on that. And again, the notes for this story will be in our show notes. Basically, Black Mamba, well, I'll let you read the article. It's very lengthy, but I'm a little disappointed that they went with somebody so cliche. That's like, Batman first appears, it's got to be Joker. Superman appears, it's got to be Lex Luthor. Or whatever. And then we also, I should point out, there was a response for that, and it came from Kenny Rotter of the Dumbbells and Dragons podcast. And Kenny wrote, that looks awesome, and Momoa is incredible. Wait, it's a DC movie. Preparing my disappointment.
Yeah.
Enough said.
I just went over to Box Office Mojo, and the Friday numbers, Star Trek Beyond is number 8.
Oh, man.
With Sausage Party being number 1 on that day, Suicide Squad was behind 150,000.
Oh, so but
behind
it
that, yeah.
really and didn't
So-
that just premiere?
Yep.
And it came in number 2?
No, what?
Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Well, it was last week. This is the second week.
Oh, it's the second week it's been out?
of Suicide Squad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time
So-
dilation.
They're in number 2 with actually Friday was 13,500,000 for Sausage Party and 13,350,000 for Suicide Squad, with the next entry at Peach Dragon at 6,000,009.
Ow!
So,
Pete's Dragon did badly.
Yeah, and then Jason and let's see, Star Trek Beyond, 1,825,000.
Ouch! Ooh,
Yeah.
not good. Not good for the future of Star Trek.
Yeah, so that was just Friday's numbers.
No,
So-
well, a lot can happen. Well, not much. Just
Yeah.
can count one more day.
So
And-
that pushes it down.
Ew.
It was number 5 last week. For the weekend. So
number 8 this week. It'll probably be out of the top 10 for next week.
Yep. Oh, well.
How sad. Last week we also did a story about how Captain Marvel will be reinventing the origin story, and we're not talking the Captain Marvel / Shazam. We're talking Marvel's Captain Marvel, the actual Captain Marvel, and we have a story for that. I will let you guys read that at your own discretion. But we got a response from Crazy Joe, and he says, so they're changing the origin so that the wizard Shazam no longer gives Billy Batson his powers? My answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
You're right. So, and then last week we also published a review for the movie Eliana. And
Yeah, we were a week ahead of time.
Oh, yeah, we were supposed to publish that next week.
Yeah, but oh well. It was a trying week.
Yeah, it was a very rough week. In any case, yeah, we did publish that, and people might remember that a couple of episodes ago we interviewed director Daniel DeGrotto about Eliana, and you can read that interview again. Read the interview on our show notes. And we got a response from Daniel himself, and he writes, "Thank you very much for this, Ben Raggington." Well, thank you for your nice words. And we also got a response this very morning from somebody in Stockholm named Mats Strandberg, and he wrote, "Great review of new Swedish horror film Eliana, based on Kim W. Anderson's very graphic novel." And he shared that with Kim Anderson on Twitter, and she reshared it. So he? Kim's I suppose Kim could be a he.
Yes, Kim is a he.
I keep forgetting about that. My bad. But in any case, yes, Kim retweeted that, so I'm very, very happy about that.
Yeah. So that's it for the comments?
That's it.
All the feedback?
That's all the feedback.
Thank you, everyone, for your comments and your questions and whatnot that we get from you. You are important to us, our listeners, our readers, everybody. And we want to know what you think of our articles, of our show, of anything that we do, our tweets, our paperly that we produce every day.
How we botch things up on the show.
Exactly. How we we make a mess of everything. So you can do that on our Facebook page at TG Squared Studios, or at TG Geeks Webcast, where you can comment on the episodes and articles we publish. Actually, that's tggeeks.com. Hello, I can't even talk today. You can even comment on our YouTube episodes. And if you do that, please play nice. Also, you can leave. Okay. You can also call our listener feedback line, and we'll play your comment on air. That's 469 TG Geeks. That's 469-844-3357. Get me out of here.
Hello, this is Miguel Rodriguez, director of the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival, and you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks podcast.
This one's another one, really long thing.
Very.
It's got lots of interesting information, or lots of interesting sounds in it.
Yeah.
And themes.
Yeah, lots of direction and structure to it.
Yeah, so I kind of like that one. Anyway,
we got a couple things we want to talk about. That was interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Hmm.
Oh, well.
In any case.
In any case.
In any case, you've heard us in the past number of episodes, us saying how we were a semifinalist for the Parsec Awards. Well, that's as far as we got. We did not make it into the final round.
No, we didn't. Those were announced, and we were up against some stiff competition.
Very
there
stiff.
were 25 entries in our category alone, not to mention all the other categories that were out there. So they only picked 5 finalists in each category, and unfortunately, we were not one of them.
Didn't quite make it. I'm just out of a little curiosity, what it is that they...
Well,
that kind of ruled us out.
I think I may have misunderstood the category, and then that I chose, because it was not chosen for us. I had to choose the category that we best fit in, and then whenever we chose our segments that we were going to submit for our show, I don't think they fit the category that I had chosen. So they might have fit in a better category.
That's
anyway,
possible.
Doesn't matter.
Well, there's always next year.
There's always next year. We will endeavor, as I posted on Facebook, we will endeavor to earn a nomination from you, our listeners, next year.
Absolutely.
So keep checking on parsecawards.com. Those that do win are worthy of taking a listen to.
Yes. And we also must mention that as of this morning when we are recording this episode, the passing of Kenny Baker.
Rest in peace, R2-D2.
Yes, he was 83. And, of course, as Keith just said, rest in peace, R2-D2. I mean, that's probably the role that he will be most remembered for, and it's his faceless role. Although I think I think a lot of people will also remember publicity shots of him.
Right.
The dome of R2 being lifted off,
yep.
and you see his face there. So I think a lot of people remember him from that. Although he has had a lot of actual facial roles in movies. I think most notably Time Bandits.
Yeah.
But I believe he was also in Willow. I mean, he's been in a number of things. But yeah, it's as Kenny Baker as R2-D2 that Kenny will be most remembered with. So
that's what made his name famous.
That's really what did it for him. So, and I want to thank, we have to give thanks to People Magazine because they're the ones who put literally a face on R2 by showing us how Kenny looked. I remember that article very well. So, rest in peace, Kenny. You will be missed. And then last week, we also ran a review of the latest DC Warner Brothers film, Suicide Squad. This came out courtesy of good friend of the show, Claire O'Leary.
Thank you, Claire.
And
she's from Ireland. She lives in Ireland.
She lives in Ireland, yes. Claire O'Leary. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that, lest I offend any of our Irish listeners and friends, because I don't want to do that. In any case, it's an interesting read, and this is her opinion, and we respect her opinion.
Absolutely.
Highly. We haven't seen Suicide Squad, so we can't say we agree or disagree with it, but I think Claire has, she addresses some very interesting points as far as her values and her sentiments go. So if you're curious about what Claire thinks about Suicide Squad, go check out the article at tggeeks.com.
Yeah, and we're always open to, if you have a review that you want to do, or on a movie, or a book, or whatever, give us a holler. You can send us a note on tggeeks.com.
Yeah.
And we will certainly consider it.
And that's the second article, the second review that she has sent us.
Yes.
David Wagner sent us a review for Hateful Eight. So, yeah, we're really open to receiving reviews from people out there.
Because we can't watch everything, and we don't get to go to the...
Not all of them.
The movie...
I think we've been approved for the press screenings, but we have to wait till something really comes along that kind of floats our boat.
Yep.
In any case, now, a few months back, we were highly embarrassed when we ran an article saying, hey, we got the Rogue One trailer. No, we didn't. No, we really didn't. No, we were fooled. Yeah, shame on us. Yeah. In any case, though, now we really do. We really have it. It really looks awesome, and we have that article, the trailer, in our show notes. So if you haven't seen it yet, just go to the show notes for this episode, tggeeks.com.
Or you can look around on tggeeks.com for the article, which we're posting the link to that article.
Yeah, absolutely. So just look for there. You'll be able to see the teaser trailer. It's more of a full-blown trailer.
Yeah.
For yourself and geek out.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. It's
yeah.
pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
And also in terms of trailers, we also ran a trailer for Luke Cage. Now, Just out of curiosity, what was your thought on that?
I thought it was very interesting. I'm interested to see, not knowing anything about the character and his
aside from what we've seen so far.
Exactly. I'm interested to see where they take this and what happens, because it really looks fascinating.
What was your thought about the tone of the trailer as opposed to what we've seen with Daredevil and Jessica Jones?
Wow, a departure.
Yeah.
A departure.
Total departure, and I like that. I like the fact that it does not actually resemble either Daredevil nor Jessica Jones.
Exactly.
Because I remember the first time we saw Jessica Jones, it actually had that detective noirish kind of vibe to it right off the start.
Yeah.
So now,
and he's out of Hell's Kitchen now, so he's over in Harlem.
He's in Harlem now, so it's going to take a totally different tone. I like it. I think this is exciting. Go check out the trailer for this new series
it comes
on our website
next month, right? September, right?
September
10th, is it?
I believe
it drops?
It will be September 30th.
The end of the month. Okay.
The end of next month is when that entire series drops. So
we'll be there.
Check out the link for the trailer on the show notes for this episode, and you can see it for yourself. Now, this one has me the most interested of all. Brian Fuller, who is the showrunner for the new Star Trek Discovery series, really gushed when it came to details about the series. And I'm not going to go over I'm not going to go into full detail on every single one of them, but I will touch on these really quickly. From what we can tell, this is not going to be like a regular series you see on television. In other words, there's only going to be 13 episodes. So it's going to be very serialized. It's not going to be a lot of standalone episodes like past Star Trek episodes have done. Very serialized. I don't know how I feel about that, because I think some of the best morality playing has always been done when it's been very episodic, but we'll have to wait and see. And he does say that there's going to be an incident and an event in Star Trek history that's been talked about but never explored. Okay, everybody, start doing the math. Start thinking. What could it be that we have heard of but have never seen? And someone had asked if it was the Romulan War, and he simply says close, but not quite. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. I'm really curious to see where that's going to go. Brian also says that the cast is going to be very diverse. I like that. I think that's very exciting. He goes on to say that there's also going to be very good LGBT representation. When he was asked if there's going to be a gay character, he says, absolutely, we're having a gay character, because he worked on Voyager. And he said that there was a file full of hate mail when there was even a rumor that a gay character would show up. So he said that he was determined that if he would ever do his own Trek show, that he would definitely have a gay character. So... and he was also asked if there'll be robots. He said yes. And, of course, the big thing that a lot of people want to know about, where and when will this series be taking place? It will be in the Prime universe, not in the Kelvin universe, and it's going to be about 10 years before the original series. So take that for what you will. I'm kind of excited about that. And that's pretty much all I'm going to really go over right now. There's a lot more to cover. So, but one other thing that I find interesting, he said that the star of the show is not the captain, but is actually going to be the lieutenant. The captain does figure prominently in this new series, but it's really about the lieutenant of this show.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So I'm curious now. I will say that from what I'm reading, I have to admit, I'm very intrigued by it, and I would like to see where this is going to go. So if you want to read more about that, just check it out on our show notes at tggeeks.com.
Yeah. So as always, we have a few follow-up items. We do have a calendar, so we made it this week with our friends that are on the calendar.
Yay!
I remembered to look this time. How about that? It's not only for friends of the show and celebrities, but for cons and film festivals. If you know of something that needs to be on the calendar, let us know. We'll put it in the calendar, and you can see it there. And as you may know by now, we have become huge supporters of independent creators, not just film but any kind of creative outlet, such as comic book creators like Russ and others. He's a independent talk show host, if you will, on YouTube.
He's as independent as they get.
About as independent as you get, exactly. And we know that we're always pushing something, but it's become something we're passionate about. We like to talk to these people that are excited about their craft, whatever it is that they are doing, because they really have that investment in that, and you can hear it in their voices when they talk about it. So if we talk about somebody, or we have a guest on and they have a project, or we talk about an Indiegogo campaign or Kickstarter campaign or crowdfunding of some kind, please check it out. And if it looks interesting, go ahead and contribute. Even as little as $5 is helpful to most campaigns. So please consider supporting independent creators. And speaking of, we want to talk about Horrible Imaginings Film Festival that's coming up.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, September 7th through the 12th at the Museum of Photographic Arts in Balboa Park. We will be there for the duration.
Yes.
That's Wednesday through Saturday, or
through
Wednesday
Sunday.
through Sunday, yeah. And the Wednesday and Thursday and Friday evenings will be evenings.
Evening only.
And then Saturday and Sunday are going to be all day. Or
and
actually from noon till whenever.
Right, and there's more than just movies. There's all sorts of activities going on.
Lots of performance art. They're doing some
I think they're doing some readings.
Yeah, and some other
some musical performances.
Yeah. So
I'm intrigued.
I am really excited, and it's going to be kind of a little mini vacation for us, but we're going to enjoy it. Tickets are available now at hifilmfest.com, and you can check out the interview with Miguel Rodriguez, who is the originator and the curator and jack of all trades for Horrible Imaginings in episode 87. We'll have a link for that in the show notes. Phoenix Comic-Con Fan Fest 16, October 22nd and 23rd, downtown Phoenix at the Convention Center. They still haven't released a list of guests yet. But
Jen Hines, who works for the Blue Ribbon Army and has worked with Comic-Con, says that the announcement for guests is going to be really soon. So
cool.
Sit tight.
Sit tight. Check out phoenixcomiccon.com. And for you people that are year-round Halloween fans, Keen Halloween, September 23rd and 24th at the Convention Center. It's a joint venture between Phoenix Comic-Con and Keen Halloween, and it's all about Halloween. You can find more at keenhalloween.com.
Must give a shout-out to the Doctor Who Fancast Guide, because they regularly republish our stories, and we are grateful. And you can find the Fancast Guide, which gets published about every other day. It's published by Doctor Who Talking Who, and you can find them on Twitter at Talking Who. And also Brian Weber, yes, good friend Arkle. He publishes the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News. And you can find the Post Dispatch News by looking for Social Justice Scald on Twitter. And the handle is at Arkle, A-R-K-L-E. And Brian also puts out on Tumblr the Incorrect Star Trek Voyager quotes. It's fun, it's amusing, it's dirty, therefore it's not safe for work.
Sorry, it's my turn, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm sitting here just looking at the script, and it's like, he just stopped talking.
That happened to me last week, where it's like, oh, it's my turn again.
Yeah, we want to give a shout out to the Lookie Show. The twins, Sasha and Dagmar, are a hoot. They give us lots of love on Twitter. Thank you so much. You can find them on Twitter at Lookie Show, and you can catch their show on YouTube as Lookie Show. If you like old movies and good campy reviews, and not only campy reviews, but really good analysis of old films.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful show.
Check it out. It's really cool.
Yes.
And, okay.
And then it's my turn.
Now it's your turn.
Now it's my turn. And we have to give a shout out to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek, for allowing us to post our episodes on their page. It is an awesome group, not just because they allow us to share our stories there, but because they just put out some really great content, because there's some really, really great people there. And one of the greatest people there is the moderator, Jeremiah Reeves, because he's the one who gave us the blessing to post our stuff there.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And so you can find that by going to facebook.com/groups/thegaygeek.
And we want to remind you that occasionally click on Amazon ads. We have those at the bottom of each article, as well as in the widgets on the side of the website. Doesn't cost anything, and you don't have to buy anything. Just tells Amazon that we're getting some traffic to them. And if you do decide to buy something, use one of our search ads, and we get a little kickback from them for that. And thank you for your consideration. And lastly, please rate us on iTunes.
Yes.
Up next week, one of the reasons that I was kind of distracted, I was messaging with somebody, our good friend Patricia Chica, and we might have Shant Hanselman, who was the director of the Slasher.
Night of the Slasher.
Yeah, that's going to be at Horrible Imagining, so she's trying to set that up for us for next week. So
that'd be wonderful. I love that short.
Yeah, so that hopefully we'll have that. If not, we'll have something else. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers.